So, as you can see, high above Mid-Ohio once again. It's an absolute gorgeous day. I'm joined in the commentary booth now by Ben Sissel. Ben, you are always out and about. How is it out there today?
Awesome. It is so nice. It's so great to see spectators, but I am excited. I didn't get to call this race yesterday. My favorite group at a track that is really well suited for these small bore production cars, the little British sports cars that I love so much. So this is Group 1, 3, 4, and 5B. And so the 5B cars are some of the cars like Chris Domingo is in.
Yeah, I know. I knew you know Chris, and I met him last time at Lime Rock, and that Malik was on fire yesterday.
Yeah, he's really good. He's driven all kinds of things. He used to drive a rotary RX-7 with us, but he may have the coolest mustache in the paddock. He's got one
and
of
the
those.
Coolest wife. I've met his wife.
Yeah, and he works on all of his cars. He's got some Alphas, got all kinds of cool stuff, but none of it is normal. And then if you know Chris, he also is
He's a little eccentric.
He's not normal, which I love. So he has a lot of fun out there. Then you've got a 1976 Bobsy. I've had 3 drivers stop me this weekend and say, hey, what in the world is that?
It is a Bobsy, yeah.
And then I've had to look at him and say, I'm not sure. And that's what I love about these vintage weekends. And I was telling my son Levi that there's always 2 or 3 cars that as a car person my whole life, I'm not sure of what they are. So then George F. Ballback is in a Porsche 356B, lots of Porsches. Then in the other Group 5, so there's 3 Group 5 cars, 4 Group 5 cars.
I love this Morgan.
The Toyota World Sports Racer, 1997. There's a Morgan. So Levi's sitting next to me. The Morgans are made of the same kind of wood that a Louisville Slugger baseball bat is made out of. They're
Yes.
ash wood. So
Yeah.
there's a guy out there driving a wood, not framed and not bodied, but all the other integral parts are made of ash wood, the same thing you'd make a baseball bat out of. So not only do you have to be a mechanic, you also have to be a carpenter to work on those Morgans. And then there's that 356. Love that shape. So let's go through as the pace car rolls out, because we've talked about these Group 5 up front. Cliff Murray, starting 5th, is in a Devon Model D Porsche. So it's a rear-engined Porsche model. That's Vic Skirmantz there that we're looking at. Cool story about Vic is he met his wife Barbara here. I believe in 1988, he said. Barbara's here all the time. Unfortunately, this is the first time I've been to Mid-Ohio in 10 years where he's not paddocked in the exact same place that he is every year, but we moved his paddock around, so I was having a hard time finding him. But he's having a lot of fun here. James, I've got a camera in his car, too. So later on, if you check out our Facebook page and social media, you're going to see some in-car of Vic Skirmantz, who completely—
He had a good run yesterday.
He does, yeah. He has this track dialed in. I think he's won a few national championships. There's my camera there on Rob Davenport's.
I like that Datsun.
That's his dad's championship-winning Datsun B210 from Dick Davenport, and his son Rob Davenport is out there racing. James Shard is 8th in that Chevrolet Yanko Stinger. Nick Clements in a 6356 Porsche. Perry Tennell in a Porsche 356. John Schrecker, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, 1964 Porsche 356. John, I don't know how to say your last name, Steidehar, in a beautiful—
That's a good stab at it.
Triumph. There it is, right there, that number 9, that Triumph TR3B. He was here with us last year. I love these Triumph TR3s. John Stanford in a Turner Mark III, 1965. Tom Brown, 63 Triumph Spitfire. Bill Schwacky, beautiful Chevrolet Corvette, this yellow-green 1955. We were talking to Tony Pirelli yesterday what his favorite era of Corvette are, and that is it. And that is one of his favorite Corvettes, because anytime he is at the track, Tony comes by and says, make sure you get a lot of video footage of Bill Schwacky. Bernard Bradpiece in a 1962 Morgan +4. That's the car we were talking about. That's the wooden car. Paul Gelpy in another Bobsy SR2 3 from 1962. He's also in that beautiful Jaguar, the white XK150. Roy Crowninshield, 1956 Austin Healey 100. I hope we get a lot of great shots of this car. Beautiful car. Toby Yurko, 67 Austin Healey Sprite. Sean Henry, Triumph Spitfire. Mark Pladson in a Morgan 4.4. Lowell Huston in a Datsun 510, Cliff Von Hone in a Datsun Roadster, Rod Pierce, Triumph Spitfire, Malcolm Ross in the last Group 5 Lotus 23B, Clark Lance Lotus Elan. Larry Smith had some mechanical problems. He's starting 28th in a 62 MG midget, but Larry Smith is a very fast driver, so we're looking for him in the top 10.
And if I had to sum up this whole group, would you say it's all small bore sports cars?
Yeah,
of an era?
production sports cars. There are a few. Group 5 is more race cars, but yeah, that's from before 1972 is what they are. Travis Smith, 65 Spitfire, and then the last one, Charles Schwimmer, that beautiful 65 Maserati Tipo 151.
Yeah. I know. I had a long, loving look at that car last time out at Lime Rock. Beautiful. So, is the Malik going to do it again? We're about to find out. Here we go then for Group 1, 3, 4, and 5B here at Mid-Ohio. The Toyota racer going backwards, not racing well, and the Malik under pressure already and losing out to the lead to Malcolm Ross.
No, that's Robert Baxter.
Excuse me, Robert Baxter, yes.
76 Bobsy SR7. Look at that car right there. That is a really cool car. Toby Yurko and that 1967 Austin Healey Sprite with his own custom nose on that car. Here comes that Morgan. And there's that red Austin Healey back there. That's the number 12. Paul Gelpy in that Bobsy SR23.
Busy man. He's got several drives this weekend.
Yeah, very interesting cars here too. And now this is where you really see the difference in these cars here. This is turn 4, high speed, hard on the brakes, turn right. So these cars are all suited. Now these cars, it gets a little bit harder, especially in that Yanko Stinger. There's Rob Davenport. The Morgan coming through. There's that Bobsy, and here comes that Austin Healey. Look at that. That is art in motion.
It is. There's the Morgan. It's just a pretty thing, isn't it?
Oh, it is. That, like, to me, that just looks quintessential English.
You know, if you picked your date up in that, she'd be impressed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those are just beautiful cars. We love those things. And beautiful drone shots of this green Mid-Ohio. And the Bobsy's out front. He just finished that car. He said he tried to go to the Bobsy reunion this year and just didn't finish it. So this is one of the first outings in that car. And whatever he did over the offseason seems to be working. And D'Amico coming under pressure from that Lotus 23.
Yep. Down the main straight and into turn 1. That's a good overtake position, and he's done just that. That's a nice clean move in Mid-Ohio by the 69. I spoke to the driver yesterday, and he said, "You'll see me. You'll see me out there."
That's Malcolm Ross.
He's a good driver, too, isn't he?
He is, very good. 1965 Lotus 23B. And then George Balbach is coming under pressure. George F. Balbach is coming under pressure from that Devon. So they have the same setup engine-wise in their car. The Devon may be a little bit heavier, but it's got the aero advantage. So that's George F. Balbach there. George drives also a Porsche 911 with us, always a really fast driver. But this is the mixed group racing of Vintage Racing. So our Group 5 race is the 3 cars up front. This is our Group 3 and 3 race right here.
Cliff Murray, the 72.
That's a pretty car, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
Some great shots. And we were just out there. I waved to him. He is way up there on that scissor lift. So I'm sure it's moving around on him. He's doing a great job getting these steady shots.
Yeah, hats off to all our cameramen. They do a hell of a job, especially shrinking down our Italian cameraman Logano, who has to fly high above the track. Great job.
Yeah, his arms have got to be tired.
Yep. Good three-way battle. I love the color of the 4th placed green Porsche 356B. I don't think I've ever seen one. And this is a pretty car too, the number 20 coming into shot.
That is a beautiful car. David Burton in 1964 356C Coupe.
Now the Lotus going for 23. The lead, just as he did the lap before. And he's trying that turn 1 move again in the number 69. They're side by side, heading towards the keyhole.
Malcolm Ross, Robert Baxter in that Bobsy. He's got a little bit more downforce, but that Lotus 23 has just got some nimbleness to him. There's something hanging off of that Lotus 23B. Hope it's a camera.
Oh, no, I hope it's not a camera.
And then look at that. There's the Toyota Sports Racer there, the 25, but I love the Yanko Stinger.
Oh, yeah.
If there was ever a car that you're like, you know, here's a car you shouldn't make into a race car, it's the Corvair. And Yanko is like, no, let's see what we can do. And he turned it into a really good race car. We've got Logan Dernoshik that races with us and races super fast in his. And it's just really fun to see these Corvairs and these Yanko Stingers out there. That's Jim Shart out there. Very experienced. He's been racing it since it was new.
The Corvair is not new to me, but I hadn't really understood. But it's a small. They didn't make that many, right?
Well, they were planning on making a ton, and then you know, that book got released, "Unsafe at Any Speed" by Ralph Nader, and I think that was kind of the first thing that, like, almost like Consumer Reports of like, I think it did, and ended. But obviously, they make for some pretty fast cars, and I think it was just the first iteration of the Corvairs that were kind of unsafe. But once you said that, you know, just like the Nova in Mexico never sold, because Nova in Spanish means no go.
Yes, that's right.
And there's the 55B of Rod Pierce.
Little Spitfire.
67 Triumph Spitfire. But man, this fight up here, and George Ballback, to be able to keep up with these cars, is doing a really good job. Chris D'Amico is basically laying down in that Malik.
Yeah, with the engine. I don't know how he sees. I asked him how he saw it. He said, well, I can see what I need to see.
Now, Jim Shart and Vic Skurmans have probably been racing head-to-head together for at least 30 to 40 years. So it's really cool to see them back out there racing as we look at Rob Davenport coming around. I did add a little extra drag to his car by putting that camera on there. So that is a rear engine, about as rear engine as you can get in a car, with that 90-degree belt pulley pulling the fan belts, which is not the best design, but they seem to make it work. That is Dick Davenport's championship winning car right there, that Datsun B210. And it's so cool because his son was my son's age when his dad was out there winning national championships in that car. And here he is driving the car just as it was.
Exactly, and that's there's no question that that's exactly how it looked at the time, right?
Yeah, and that's Perry Tennell, the 1961 356B.
Look at the wheels. Awesome.
And that's, to me, that's the quintessential Porsche wheels. I think they're Fuchs or whatever, but you know, BMW has its own wheel, Porsche has its wheel, and I just associate that kind of wheel. There is that Malik. I have no idea what this thing is. It almost, it could be part boat, part airplane. Look at those carburetors coming out the side of it.
Well, I was talking to Chris about it, and I was like, what's the sort of history behind this sort of racing, this sort of car? And he said, you know what? Basically, it goes back to the days of club racing in England, when those that couldn't afford some of the exotic Italian cars, and to a certain extent, more and more exotic British cars, kind of made their own. They took a simple road car engine, built a body, and went racing. And that's exactly what the Malik that you're looking at kind of is.
That's awesome. So you're brave enough to talk to Chris D'Amico.
Oh, yeah. Well, I met his wife first, and she's safe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever met her.
Oh, she's lovely.
I'm so intimidated by his mustache, I haven't found the nerve to talk to him.
Oh, no. He was fixing something at Lime Rock, and so I collared him. Nice guy.
That's Nicholas Clements there in the 1960 356B Roadster. And I would love to know, like in a wind tunnel test, if the Roadster with those kind of bars are better, or if the car right in front of him, the hardtop, is better with drag.
That's a good question.
I don't know, and I wouldn't be able to venture
I reckon
a
the
guess.
hardtop's probably better aerodynamically.
But these speedsters seems to be the ones that are always up front. So this is a good Group 3 battle right here.
Perfect conditions here at Mid-Ohio, isn't it? Lovely day.
Yeah. I haven't seen too many of my Group 1 drivers. Let's go back through here and see some Group 1 guys.
And you can see, keep your eyes on the wheel, because that's what the first thing you really notice once you get into this historic racing. Ooh, very hot into there, but it's just how much they work the wheel. And what I mean by that is it's constant movement, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these are big wheels, the originals.
Yeah, they are. And really tough to drive. No power steering, no power brakes, definitely no ABS. It is definitely a not a solid state electronics by any means in these cars. They are very difficult to drive. If you ever want to learn how to drive a car fast, spend a year in that Triumph TR3.
Yes, exactly. I was
And
about
then
to say that.
anything you jump in, you'll be able to drive it a lot faster. And look at the lines he's taken there.
I know, he's very good in the corners. I noticed that.
This is our Dallas Cowboys, Morgan, 139 of Bernard Brad piece, 1962 Morgan +4.
That's lovely, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just love those cars.
Why Dallas Cowboys? Just because of the colors?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Colors.
Is he from Dallas?
I don't even know. Just looks like the colors, you know. But I love the Morgan has just said, nope, we got car design right in the 1920s and 30s.
Why should we change it?
We're always going to have those big swooping fender flares like they did, you know, and they really haven't. A Morgan, like we talk about Porsches, Morgans look like they could have been made in the 20s. Still, the new modern ones, I love it. And then look at that big padded leather belt going over the hood.
And there you see the wood too. He's got the canopy on, but you can see the wood shining through on the dash. Very nice.
And he's racing wire wheels. I love it. I love wire wheels on a race car. There's that Bobsy.
Quite a lot of different kind of shaped Bobsies, aren't there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really pretty one there. He's about to get some pressure here from this Lotus Elan. Clark Lance, 1964, side by side at Madness. As they descend into madness together. You don't want to go side by side there in these beautiful cars. That's some good racing. And that Austin Healey, man, I love that car. That's the car from the Royal Tenenbaums, you know, the end of the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yes.
I love those things.
I was talking about Tears for Fears in the video yesterday, but very similar, but it's silver and blue, funnily enough, that one, a 56. But yes, the Royal Tenenbaums, absolutely.
And I love it's like a Jeep. Those Austin Healey's of that era where you can adjust the windscreen to be, you know, at any angle that you want it. So look at that. That is just a piece of art. And we don't get to see too many of these cars out there. Not only have they just really, really shot up in value, but those body panels are really tough to replace. But look at this. He's being followed there by Larry Smith, who had to start at the back. And Larry's one of our really good, accomplished Group 1 drivers in that MG Midget. Yeah, he's really moved up. That's good stuff. So that's Larry there in the British Racing Green. MG Midget. And it's really cool. So yesterday while we were here announcing the Trans Am race, his mechanic, Laurel, was out here. And she is 35 years old. She has a Vintage Restorations Limited out of Maryland, and she takes care of a lot of small bore British production cars, race cars, and does a great job. So it's really cool to see somebody that young, 35 years old, restoring and keeping these cars like these two cars that you see right here. She can work on them. She can wrench on them. Final lap. Look at this, Larry Smith going door to door at turn 4. Good stuff.
So final lap then in our group race. Our first of the day, the Group 1, 3, 4, and 5B. These classic cars.
Never disappoint.
No.
I love this group.
Here, I've got an idea. How about we take all our F4 drivers and give them a chance to take on some of these historic cars? I know the owners might be a little bit nervous.
Yeah, because they've been watching the F4 races.
Yeah.
They see what these guys do.
But the learning curve.
Awesome. I tell you what,
of driving these big wheels.
Yeah,
and
you know. If you put these Formula guys in these little MG midgets like that, would be a great car.
Wouldn't it?
They would become faster. They did 3 or 4 events in an MG midget. No matter what they're driving, they'd be faster.
They'd be a better driver.
If you can drive a
car
with no
the caveat would be if you damage it, you pay for it.
Yeah. But I will tell you, I'm sure that some of our drivers would say, we'll trade for the weekend.
Yeah.
Because they'd love to see what these cars feel like. Well, there he is. There's
Robert
the
Baxter.
Bobsy.
Robert Baxter bringing it home. Out of the carousel to take the win. And across the line they come. Good racing throughout that group racing.
Close racing.
Yeah.
I mean, D'Amico was right behind him.
Yep.
Look at this Maserati right here. I hope we can pan around with it because they did such a great job on the design of the front, and then it seems like they ran out of ideas on the back.
There's a few cars designed like that.
Yeah, the Shelby Daytona, I feel, is like that. But it's all for aero. Look at that, Domingo waving at everybody. See, he must be a nice guy. I must just be intimidated by the mustache.
Must be the mustache. Chris Domingo waving to the crowd. Malcolm Ross in the number 69 held second place. And I know he's parked next to Jake Vanilla, so yeah, maybe they could do a swapsies.
Yeah,
You think?
they should.
All right, let's take a look at the highlights then of our group racing for SVRA. Good clean start, and immediately the Malik making a move. Couldn't quite pull it off into turn one. And it was the number one of Robert Baxter who led the way, chased hard by Chris Domingo and Malcolm Ross. Ross making a move at turn one on the Malik. Nicely done by the 69. He said I would see him, and yes, I did. In fact, briefly took the lead into the keyhole, but there was racing all the way through. Really good, close racing, too, in these historic cars, which you really don't want to be that close because they are so precious and so brilliant. But it's a win for Robert Baxter. Chris Domingo and the Malik, who won yesterday, takes second, and Malcolm Ross takes third place. Confirmation of the results then. Race 2 for Group 1, 3, 4 and 5B. Baxter, Domingo, Ross and George Balbach in 4th position. Dave Bauman in 5th. Cliff Murray in 6th. Dave Burton in 7th. James Shart in 8th place. Vic Skermatz in the Porsche 356. And another Porsche 356 of Perry Tennell in 10th position.